You wake up one day and realize something subtle has shifted, not because the world suddenly became kinder or because people finally understood you, but because you crossed an invisible line. For some, it's after a heartbreak. For others, it's after burnout. And for many, strangely, it's after their first real taste of money. Not millions, not luxury, just around $20,000. Enough to breathe, enough to pause, enough to notice how much of your life has been shaped by caring too much. If you're someone who feels everything deeply, this will feel uncomfortably familiar. You've always been the one who notices the mood in the room before anyone speaks, the one who rereads messages, wondering if you said too much or not enough, the one who gives, explains, adjusts, softens, and absorbs. You care before being asked. You care even when it costs you. And for a long time, you were told that this is who you are, that it's a strength, that the world needs people like you. But no one told you how heavy it would feel. People who care too much are not weak. That's the first lie society sells you. Neuroscience shows that your brain is wired differently. Your mirror neurons fire faster. Your emotional intelligence is high. You pick up micro-expressions, tone shifts, emotional undercurrents that others miss. Your nervous system is constantly scanning, not for danger, but for disconnection. You don't just hear words, you feel intentions. And because of that, you often end up carrying emotional weight that was never yours to begin with as a child. You may have learned that love was something you earned by being easy, helpful, understanding. Maybe you grew up in a home where emotions were unpredictable, so you became predictable instead. The calm one, the responsible one, the one who didn't cause trouble. Your brain learned that safety came from from managing the emotional climate, from caring more than anyone else so nothing would fall apart. That pattern doesn't disappear when you grow up. It just puts on a more adult face. You become the friend who always checks in, the partner who the employee who You apologize when you're hurt. You justify when you're tired. You shrink when you should expand. And deep down, there's a quiet hope that if you care enough, people will finally care back in the same way. Sometimes they do, often they don't. And that's where the pain begins to sharpen. Here's the part no one likes to talk about. Caring too much can slowly disconnect you from yourself. When your attention is always outward, your inner voice becomes faint. You start asking, are they okay? Before asking, am I okay? You measure your worth by how useful, how needed, how appreciated you are. And when appreciation doesn't come, you don't get angry. You get quieter. You assume it's your fault. You try harder. This is where the unhealthy side lives. Chronic people-pleasing isn't kindness, it's survival. It's your nervous system trying to avoid rejection at all costs. Studies on attachment show that people who care excessively often have an anxious attachment style. Your brain is constantly searching for reassurance. Every delay in response feels personal. Every shift in tone feels like abandonment. It's exhausting, but it feels normal because you've lived there for so long, and then something unexpected happens. You hit a point of stability. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's financial. That $20,000 moment isn't about the number, it's about what it represents. For the first time, you're not in constant scarcity, not scrambling, not surviving. Your nervous system exhales. And in that space, you see things clearly. You notice how some people only show up when you're giving. You notice how often you've silenced yourself to keep peace. You notice how your kindness has been mistaken for availability, not depth. And instead of feeling bitter, you feel awake. Caring doesn't disappear, but it changes. It becomes quieter, more selective, more rooted. The healthy side of caring too much is beautiful. It's empathy without self-erasure. It's generosity with boundaries. It's emotional presence that doesn't demand approval. When you're regulated, when you're grounded, your care becomes a choice, not a reflex. You don't chase connection. You allow it. You don't overexpect. You trust that being misunderstood by the wrong people is not a failure. This is where the real shift happens. You stop trying to be everything for everyone. Not because you've become cold, but because you've become honest. You realize that love doesn't require you to abandon yourself. That connection doesn't grow from that the people meant to stay don't need you to shrink. Psychologically, this is integration. The moment when your empathy and your self-respect finally meet, your brain learns that boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. Your nervous system learns that silence doesn't always mean danger, and slowly, the hypervigilance softens. You're still sensitive, but you're no longer fragile. There's a gentle grief that comes with this stage. You mourn the version of yourself who tried so hard, who believed that being indispensable was the same as being loved. You look back with compassion, not shame. That version kept you alive, but it doesn't have to lead your life anymore. And here's the truth, most people won't tell you. The world doesn't need you to care less. It needs you to care wisely, to direct that depth inward as much as outward. To ask yourself, in quiet moments, what do I need right now? And actually listen. When you do that, something powerful happens. Your presence becomes magnetic. Not because you're trying, but because you're whole. So if you're at that turning point, where things feel different, but you can't quite name why, trust it. You're not becoming selfish. You're becoming balanced. You're learning that your sensitivity is not a liability. It's a compass, but only if you let it point you toward yourself too, and maybe tonight. As you sit with this, ask yourself one honest question. What would change in your life if you cared for yourself with the same intensity you give to everyone else?